Good evening, everyone. On another freezing day in Great Britain, I'm so cold, Stefan. But tonight we've got the handsome boys edition of the Man United agenda because
Oh
it's
yeah,
me and Stefan.
it
Um,
is indeed.
how you doing, mate? We haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah. I'm not doing too bad. Struggling with the heat and like working in the heat's like always a lot of fun. But yeah, Joe, I'm not doing too bad.
All right. So today we've had another, for me, another disappointing day of football. I've seen the highlights of some games, and I just finished watching Portugal. But I have to say, I'm pretty disappointed that I haven't watched any of Romania play. They look glorious, like with that beautiful yellow shirt and the sort of fast-paced football. They've been my team of the tournament, I think, so far in terms of exciting me. What have you seen from these Euros so far, Stefan, and what are your thoughts on it?
Do you know, man? I think what we've seen is like a real triumph for a lot of teams who maybe we didn't have big expectations for going into it. And a lot of these group matches has just been a case of hard-working, hard-grafting teams, maybe not with a lot of quality or a lot of um, entertaining football, but it's getting the job done at the minute. We've also seen a lot of own goals. I think we're in double figures for own
Yeah.
goals as well, which is insane. And our top goal scorer is the Georgian striker with what 3 goals? Like so. I don't think we would have called it before the tournament even began. But Joe, one thing I've kind of got is a kind of a disappointment from a lot of the big teams, man. Like
Uh-huh.
England disappointing, France pretty disappointing, Italy disappointing. Spain have been entertaining, like, but we'll see how they do against some of the bigger teams, I guess, now that the draws have been done. But it's going to be an interesting one. Like, I think England have got a really good run at the final. Like, if they can get through the next couple of matches, what they play Slovakia next, then I think it's like the winner of the Netherlands versus
Romania.
Romania, yeah, and then like possibly Austria in the semi-final. Like that's you couldn't have asked for a better run if you're an England fan. But whether or not that run's going to count for much, I don't know. But yeah, like it's been an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of was watching the Euros. I love the Euros, and I got a bit of criticism saying that I think that they're better than World Cup. This hasn't
Oh no, I
been,
agree. I agree with that. I always think it's a higher quality of football all over. Like
yeah, like I mean, Euro 2000 is still, I think, the peak of international football. But um, I feel that every big team has been playing like Marcus Rashford last season. They seem disinterested, not committed, not showing like their strengths and things. And tonight, the unpronounceable man, the carrot from Georgia, he finally came in as a player that I've heard good things about and showed that he's got something about him. Is it carrot Shikophilia?
Kvaratskhelia or something. I feel like that's not too far off. But yeah, like he was impressive tonight. I think the game suited him. Like he got gifted that first goal. Like, but he had space to run into, and he looked pretty good doing it. Like his control and his ethic, at least, just to keep running at Portugal, just paid off, I guess. But it's not been the best tournament for him so far. I feel like maybe he's flattered to deceive a little bit, but impressive tonight.
All right, well let's check in with the comments. First off, Kel Surprise, it's Stephanie Griffiths saying, "Big up the Man United philosophers because of Stefan." Hi Steph, I hope you're doing well, enjoying the Euros. Um, Stefan has put in. This is Stefan's channel, so go and subscribe to it. But he's put in all the round of 16 matches there. Do any stand out to you in particular? I mean, maybe France Belgium is the biggest one of traditional top players.
Yeah, maybe. You're looking at that. I can only apologize. There's a 240 character limit. Like that's pretty difficult to read. Um, but yeah, look, I think France Belgium's probably on paper the draw of it. But I would watch out for that Romania Netherlands match because
Mm.
the Dutch have conceded quite a lot of goals. Romania go forward and play quick football and go for it. So maybe that could be the best watch of the next round. I don't know. Look, I might be completely wrong, but just looking at it, that's my kind of initial one. That it might be something in that match.
All right. Well, Andrew is saying, "Is anyone luckier than England?" We'll probably go through the Portugal game, Andrew, and then we'll talk about England and things. I know people are pretty interested in that, but I'd like to get the Portugal game out the way because there are a couple of players that we've been linked to from that Portuguese team, and they didn't really impress me very much tonight. But I'm pleased to see that you've been enjoying the matches, Andrew. I don't feel the tournament's come alive yet for me. I'm hoping the round of 16 is where things really start cranking it up. But Austria under Ralph looked like Red Bull Austria. I wonder why Ralph is getting his plaudits. I'd love to see him play versus England. That's a good troll, Bart, because you know how much I hate Ralph Ragnick and how much I hate extreme gegenpressing football. It's the worst expression of football possible. Austria have been really, really good, but when you get up against the top teams in the tournament, you need to be able to create and manipulate spaces and not simply rely on a press. And that is where Ragnick and Austria, I think, will get found out. But it's good that there is at least one team that is performing, the kind of highest level that they can perform at. Andrew, with a bit of philosophy, social media is having a bad effect on football. People are afraid to make mistakes. I suspect he's referring a bit here to Kane versus Lineker and all these sort of things. What are your thoughts, Stefan?
I feel like it's just kind of the world that we live in at the minute, and like it's not going to change at this point. Everyone has always had their opinions. Like, I'm sure if you go back to the 90s or the 80s watching football, like you know, people in the pub telling the manager on the screen what way they should be playing or who should be going, where it's just everyone's got a platform to do it now. Like, you can just put whatever you want out there. And yeah, look, these guys are all on social media, and a lot of them will be very aware of what's going on. And yeah, like they don't want to end up clipped up and going viral for making a mistake or having a miss or whatever. But you know, they're professional footballers. They kind of have to just get on with it. Like, mistakes are part and parcel of it, and as long as you do more positive contributions and negative contributions, yeah, no one's gonna be too hard on you. Like, so.
I mean, like in the UK, like one of my first sort of like memories of kind of like how the UK deals with footballers would be David Beckham in '98, and I believe around the same time, I might be misremembering this. I'm fairly sure there was an advert for Pizza Hut that had Waddle, Southgate, and Pearce, and it was all about kind of missed penalties and things. And I think in the Euros, I don't think the reaction was that bad to Saka, Sancho, and Rashford, like compared to what it's been in the past. But I do wonder if there is too much fear on these players of letting their nation down and stuff. And I think that that's on your coaching staff and the people around the camp that kind of have to get you through that. Because, I mean, to play football at the top level, you can't have fear all the time. You need to want that glory. All right. So Andrew is saying Switzerland versus Italy looks a tight one. I mean, Andrew, I think that both me and you have said that Holland are always good in the qualifiers, in the groups, and then do bugger all. And Italy are always rubbish, and yet you suddenly find them in the quarterfinal. And I would expect that Italy will probably go through against Switzerland. Germany, Denmark is cool, as the latter have their golden generation. Really, is this a okay? I'm not sure. I mean, but where are you from? I always think you're from Belgium. But if you're comfortable letting us know. And Andrew's always comfortable letting us know what he thinks. And he's saying Darius getting exposed to know nothing in this tournament. Almost G-Wolf level. Probably, Andrew. Like, I don't, I get a lot of stuff wrong about football. Beckham got bullets in his mailbox. Saka and Sancho got dog abuse on social media. I mean, yeah, I think there's a difference like there. Right. Did you see the Slovenia game? It was if the players have been reading the social media for the last week, everything that's being said, they over adjusted. Jude personified this. So, Andrew, right, knowing nothing about football, this is what I would say about that is that when you have players that are looking to get into the half spaces and things like that, I think on social media it's called free eights or something like that, where you have one midfielder on the left-hand half space, one midfielder on the right-hand half space. So, think of like sort of De Bruyne being on the right and then, whoever like Silva or whatever being on the left. But in order for you to be effective in those positions, you need width. You need to stretch the pitch. So I think that with Foden and with Bellingham, what they're suffering from is a really, really poor team shape. And also if you play these free eights, you need someone to come and invert from the back line to create like your 2-3 rest defense. I've always thought that the disrespect towards Gareth Southgate is completely unfounded. But having watched England like in all 3 games, I'm beginning to see where people are coming from, because they've set up the team really poorly, and both Bellingham and Foden to me have shown a really poor attitude on the pitch. They're trying to do it all themselves. Stefan, like what do you think about this?
I would agree with it. Like, you reference City there. Like, whenever you watch City play, whenever everybody's fit, you do have John Stones stepping in to make that rest defense into the kind of midfield kind of areas. Maybe England don't really have that, even though they have Stones. He's not quite doing that. I just think, yeah, like with Foden and with Bellingham especially, their tendencies to come towards the ball. There's no real width on that left-hand side. It might be better if they had a proper left back who would be getting up and down the pitch. Maybe that could at least add the option, but Trippier's just not contributing at all. And I don't know, it's very questionable that Southgate bringing one left back to the tournament who's already injured and has missed the first 3 matches, probably doesn't play against Slovakia, might be available for a quarterfinal if you get there. Like, that doesn't seem the best of squad planning. But I don't know, look, watching England play firstly against, first match was Serbia, then it was Denmark, then Slovenia. I think in 2 of the matches they really struggled to break teams down. They really struggled to make a lot of opportunities against both Serbia and Slovenia. And even in the friendly matches beforehand, I think they played Iceland, and Iceland beat them at Wembley in one of the matches, and I can't remember where the other one was, but they seem to have a problem with breaking teams down. And maybe it is coming from a lack of width that you are getting when you're playing Foden and Bellingham, and you're not quite occupying the right areas. You don't have a left back giving that kind of cover. I don't know, though. I think just watching them, I feel like they've got too many players who want to come to the ball. Kane's tendency is to drop deep because he can't run beyond. So he needs runners if he's going to do that. Bellingham wants to get on the ball in some areas, and you kind of get that from Foden as well. I don't know, though. I just think positionally they're weak. And if you look at their heat maps, their touch maps, their average positions, there's nothing on the left-hand side. Saka holds the width well on the right. And I think you're seeing Saka play pretty well in this tournament, going by the standards of England.
I'd agree.
Going by the standard of England attackers. I don't think he's been playing to his Arsenal level, but I think just because he's at least holding the width, at least because he's got Walker beside him for that option as a natural right back, he looks a little bit better, but it just looks like a misfire in attack. And on Sunday, I think it's Slovakia, so they're going to come up against another low block that they're probably going to struggle to break down. And what I think would be concerning for England fans is even when they've got leads in this tournament, I think Denmark really typified it. Once they get a goal, they just want to sit off, and they don't want to utilize the quality really that's in that team. And I think that's where a lot of the Southgate issues come with. Like, I was talking to a friend, and I think it might have been on Twitter as well. I think he might have quoted somebody, but he said it kind of reminds me of how United play, but at least United let the other team attack us to make it entertaining. England don't do either. They just sort of bore the life out of us. So I don't know. I think they've just really underwhelmed, but we'll see what happens on Sunday.
I mean, me, I think that like you need killers in your team, right? You need utter sadists who will just like who will go to score goals and will want to almost embarrass another team. And
Yeah,
I don't see that from England. And I think that like I mean Mark Gay has been one of the standout players for England, and I think he's great. But his lack of a left foot is killing England. And I'm really disappointed that John Stones, a treble winner, four championships in a row, hasn't taken Maguire's place on the left hand side and
yeah.
taken the responsibility for that because Gay is he's been great and stuff. I don't think England have been properly tested by an attack, and I fear a little bit. I fear a little bit for England because they've been so poor. They're not creating anything, and I think that they can be punished. But let's look at the comments. It's just Andrew and Barton tonight. If you want, boys, I can send you the link. You can just come on instead of having to type. Lubeck. I don't know where that is, but it's less than 200 kilometers from Denmark. Do you know where that is?
Pretty sure it's northern Germany. I think it might be quite near the Baltic Sea, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that wrong.
Well, just get a bit further into it, but
I don't know. I don't know what you call the sea. I know at some point it's like the Baltic Sea, but I don't know what you call it whenever you get into like the kind of Scandinavian, Denmark kind of region. I don't know if it changes name or anything, but it's in that rough area, northern Germany. So,
well, that would explain Bart's sense of humour. Right, Andrew has right. Let me go through these, Andrew. So basically, Jude single-handedly having to press for the entire team. He was dead after 30 minutes. Yeah, he moves too much, Jude, for me. He's made one change in 3 games. This is Southgate, so that would be my boy Conor Gallagher coming in, I think. But I mean, this is what a sensational thing to type. Are England the only big team not to have a specialist left back? I mean, I have to agree. I think it's mental that Chilwell didn't go like to the. How can you take an injured Luke Shaw and that is your only left-sided defender?
I don't know, man. Like, is Chilwell even fit? Like, I don't even know if he's fit either. I don't know. I feel like England do have a lack of genuine left backs. Like the only other ones I can really think of is your guy Hall at Newcastle. I know
Livramento could probably play left back, but
yeah, I keep forgetting he's English just because he doesn't have a typical English name. Yeah,
and like the England under-21s, they won the Euros, didn't they? Like Gordon won it, and like I think that you've really got to promote whoever was the left back from the under-21s and just take them. Like I think it's shocking that Gordon won the Euros, and he's not getting at more than 5 minutes like on the pitch. Extraordinary bad analysis again, Darius. Yeah. Rice is the biggest problem, but he is your star boy. So I think Rice has played quite well, to be honest, in the Euros. He's good at covering ground. He's not the best like sort of first phase distributor, but I think that those problems are exacerbated by the lack of left foot at the back. So it's about like where you're sort of receiving the ball, and it's very easy to narrow the pitch onto one side. But I would also expect Rice to actually show a bit more quality. Like I think if you're a leader in the team, you're £100 million player, that you sort of see them step up. But England have got through the qualifiers; they're top of their group. Let's see how they go. Oh, you think he's been awful? What do you think, Stefan, about Declan Rice? Think he's been poor?
I don't think he's been bad. I think like even his best performances this season for Arsenal, he hasn't really played as kind of like a pure 6. Some of his best performances have been with Jorginho alongside him, a little bit deeper, and maybe he just needs a better partner in the midfield. Like I know he's going from like a midfield 3 to a double pivot very much because Bellingham is pushing so far up, but I don't know. Like I think he's a little bit better against Slovenia with Gallagher beside him, but
He was
I
really
don't think
poor in
he.
that second game, to be
Yeah,
honest. But they
yeah,
all were.
yeah,
Like I've remembered his passing was dreadful, but like so was Kyle Walker and the rest of them.
yeah.
Bad pitch. I think that him, Saka, and Gay are the only ones who have performed around the kind of level that I would expect from them. Like
Yeah, I think
obviously,
that's fair enough. Like,
obviously Saka is a match winner and Rice scores important goals. But I mean, it's for me, it's Bellingham and Foden have been the really big issues alongside Kay because they're all competing for the same space, and there's nothing out on the left hand side. Tiddick Mitchell of Palace. Do you know what? I saw something today about how Mitchell is one of the best defensive left backs in the league. The thing is, Bart, right, is as much as like we're praising Gay and things like that, and you know, we might praise Gordon and Palmer and all this lot. They don't have a lot of international experience. They don't have a lot of like proper top level experience. So, for example, Gay got a yellow card, I think, against whoever England played last. Was it Slovakia or Slovenia? It's same.
Slovenia. Yeah.
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Gay was like that was a yellow and a half, and it was. I felt he panicked in that moment, and you don't know these players like Mitchell and stuff. You don't know how they're going to react on the big stage, and that's why you get people like the Croatia manager and Southgate that stick with teams too long because they trust the players, they know how they're going to react and things like that. Andrew, he doesn't like Mitchell. But Bart thinks England have been more defensively solid than expected. And here's one for you here. We're just probably just going to end up talking about England. Is it too simplistic to think that if England had an Eriksen-like player, would they be a more fluid team? So suppose, Stefan, you have to tell me what an Eriksen-like player is before you answer that.
Yeah, well, I guess it kind of depends what Eriksen type or what type of Eriksen we're talking, because you know, for United he's been playing kind of in that number 8, but for Denmark he's been right up there in the 10. Like, and I remember watching the first match. I think Eriksen had something like 6 or 7 shots, and I'm sitting thinking like, I haven't seen this United at all. I was genuinely shocked. He was just so trigger happy with it. But I do think maybe they could do with someone who can move the ball through the thirds a little bit better. I think Wharton might be an interesting go if they wanted to try that, because he will release the ball quickly and get it moving. Maybe that will bring a little bit more. But I don't think it really solves the big issues for England, and it's not having the left hand side, not having width, too many players coming towards the ball, no runners in behind, and I don't know. Just even when you were talking about it as well, there, it's like if they had 3 United players, it probably would be looking a lot more balanced. If Maguire was fit, he would be left centre half.
Yeah.
If Luke Shaw was fit, he would be left back, and that probably gives him an easier way to play out of the back. And then I don't know, like I know his form wasn't great this season, but I just feel like they need a Rashford type on that left,
yeah.
on the left, just a different option. I think Gordon gives you that as well. Like there's no reason why he shouldn't be on the pitch. Like he came on with about 5 minutes left against Slovenia. He played a really good ball right down the middle of the pitch. I think Cobby flicked it to Kane, and then
he did, and Kane played it to Palmer.
Yeah, he should have just give it back to Manu because he was proper.
I think the pass to Palmer was the right pass there. And I saw a lot of people on social media, but I felt Palmer was completely free and Kobe had a man on him. I think the right pass there was to Palmer. I'm really disappointed that Palmer didn't do particularly well with his shot and stuff. But I sort of agree with you about Rashford. I mean, I don't like Rashford like as a performer, but as a player, I think he's got everything but a brain and a heart. Like when I see Rafael Leao play and stuff like that, I never see a player who's got more physical or more technical gifts than Rashford. He drives me up the wall. He could be so good.
Yeah. Like Rashford's like 6'1". He's the quickest player in the pitch. He's strong. He's He's got unbelievable technique when he properly catches a ball. He can strike a ball. He can time his runs. It's always just been head and heart issues, I guess. Like I think genuinely a lot of the time it's his head. Like I know a lot of United fans would say this, and I would agree as well. It's like the more Rashford can think about doing something, the more likely he is to make it up or just mess it up. He's better running on instinct. Do you know what I mean?
I just think. Do you know what I think about Stefan? I think about that ball he played in the FA Cup final to Garnacho. Do you remember he hit?
Yeah.
I don't see anyone else in the England squad playing that ball and getting it in, and it's tournament football, so it's like it's knockout and stuff, and you need the players that can just produce a moment in these matches. And I'm stunned that Rashford didn't go because I think in the last World Cup, did he terrorize France?
Yeah,
like he played one really good game, didn't he?
I think he got 3 or 4 goals, maybe in about 60, 70 minutes of football across all his matches, just because he is an effective option to have. Do you know what I mean? He is one of those players who can just pull something out. Like I think France have been pretty poor throughout the tournament, but when they've had Mbappe on the pitch, they've always just had that bit of an X factor who can just pull something out. He can just make something happen in a split second, and all of a sudden it's a goal. Like I just don't think England have that at all. Like, and I think that maybe is the biggest thing going in France's favor, because I don't think their performances have been exceptional either. Like, I think
Griezmann's disappointed me. I'm a big fan of Griezmann, but look, we have to do some comments. We've got Agile Beast. Hello, my friend. I play Walker at left back. I think Walker as the left-sided centre back, like in the 3, could work with maybe Trent playing the right back or something. But it's just very odd that Southgate he's had 3 games and he hasn't looked at addressing the left-hand side of the pitch once, which I think is a huge issue. Now, Steph is back. Hi, Steph. How you doing? Let us know what you thought of the games. I will answer this, but I want Stefan to take this first. Do you think Mainoo gets in the way of the other players too much, runs into their space, cuts their options down?
Sometimes I do think he can be guilty of that. I know he's so good in tight spaces with the ball at his feet. Like, he is very difficult to shake off the ball sometimes, and whenever he gets it in around those areas, But to me, like, I don't want him playing. I don't want him playing on the last slide, and like I don't want him to be on the shoulder of the last defender. Like, he can do it, but you're not maximizing his talents doing that. I would like him a little bit deeper, and I think you get more out of him. You might not get, the occasional goal that he has conjured up, but I just think you get a better player when he's deeper. I think he's for me, one of his best performances was his debut against Everton. Very comfortable just taking the ball off the back, and it helps get through the thirds. And I think
it's pretty easy to look good from that position, to be honest. My thing about Mainoo is I'm of the belief, right, that you get your best attacking players as near the goal as possible, right? And this is why I like players like McTominay and Gallagher and stuff like that, because those guys are good at recovering space, and that means that you can get a Mainoo into that half space area where he scored against Wolves. He can make that run in and get like he did against City. And I know what Andrew means about getting in the way of other players. I noticed in the game that Stones was talking a lot to Mainoo about his positioning, but I would. Right, so there's 2 points I want to make. One is I would hate to play with this England version of Bellingham. He is so ill-disciplined in where he's going, and like when he drops and wants to sort of play behind the ball, as it were, someone's got to go and cover his space. It doesn't look like he's doing anything. And the other thing is that like everyone always laughs at me because I like Harry Winks. Harry Winks is a behind-the-ball player who's a kind of shuttler. He'll get it, he'll spread it wide, he'll try and break lines and stuff like that. He's quite secure on the ball. England don't really produce these kind of players. And my fear for Kobe Mainu is pretty much what you've said, is that they're going to try and turn him into a behind-the-ball player who's going to be a first and second phase specialist, as it were. When I think, because I've seen him score a lot of really good goals, and also that he can dribble in central areas, which is like, that's one of the things that always set Pogba apart from every other central midfielder, was that he was able to do that in those areas. I think Mainu's got to play full. I think he's got to be as near the goal as possible. And in terms, Andrew, of running in space, cutting their options down, I can understand why someone would say that, because I agree he did it a couple of times, but it is also difficult when you come into a new team that doesn't really appear to have like a coherent philosophy. And then when he began to combine with Saka, and Saka's a player that likes players around him to sort of play off and stuff, Saka gets taken off, Palmer gets put on, and Palmer wants to be isolated 1v1 away from everyone else. So I think it's quite difficult to say if Kobe did poorly, like in terms of the space and stuff. It was just such a chaotic tactical performance with no real kind of game plan for me. Is that fair, Stefan, or am I being too critical?
No, I would agree. I think he linked up pretty well with Saka, and I think the first thing he did really was try to be more of an option on the left-hand side and just at least have that side of the pitch somewhat occupied. I know he wasn't out wide, but he was kind of like in the half space initially, but then he kind of drifts over to the right and probably has a decent enough connection there with Saka. But I mean, I've been a big fan of Manu all season long, and for me, like, I know I said maybe one of his better performances, more standout performance was Everton. I know he's capable of scoring some really good goals, but I think it's about getting him in the right areas, because I don't think you want to play him right on top of your striker. He's not a 10, he's not really a 6 either. You know, you want him to kind of have the freedom to pick the ball up and dribble with it in central areas.
What was the best chance created in that match?
For England?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think.
Was it Kobe's flick into Kane?
That was one of them. I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe there was a chance for Kane as well in the first half. Maybe a cross. I don't even know, man. Like that game was so unmemorable in so many ways.
It was dreadful, wasn't it?
It's just hard to call it back. And I know it was only like last night as well, but it feels like a week ago. Like,
right.
Yeah, like that was certainly it.
Other things, because I sort of we could talk football for hours, and I don't want to ignore the comments and stuff. Reggie, Foden hasn't done it on the left, doesn't help with Trippier at left back. Foden, I think I said this earlier, Reggie. Foden a bit like Bellingham. I think that he's got a little bit of the kind of saviour mentality in him, where he's going to try and do it all himself, and the team's not really set up for that. I don't like him I don't like Phil Foden. It's a Man City plays too fast.
I feel like as well he's probably kept in a very, very short leash by Pep, and I don't know if Southgate's got that in him to really like go at him if he's like out of position, because you already know, like, if he was playing like he was for England for Pep, he would be out to halftime. Yeah. Like Pep would just take him off.
He's not going to play the next game though, and I hope whatever's gone wrong is okay for him. Because he's pulled out of the England squad and gone home.
He's left the camp.
Yeah, I doubt he'll play the next game.
Probably not.
This is an interesting one, right? Because when I watched the England game, I remember thinking I'd take Bellingham off for Tony, and I'd play 2 up front and pump it in for the last 10 minutes. What is the point in giving Ollie Watkins 10 minutes? He instantly has a decent chance. We don't see him again. Tony doesn't go. I mean, if Kane gets injured or something, should these players have had more time? I would definitely like my forwards to have had at least half an hour over the 3 games.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think that's too outrageous. If Harry Kane is really playing to the levels that he can do, and like you're kind of like can't really drop the guy, you'd maybe understand, but like just no rotation either for Harry Kane. I think he's played he's bound to play every minute of every match so far. Like, and you've got Watkins, I think maybe second top goal scorer in the league last season. He gives you
Kane was
something.
taken off for Watkins, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. Like
that's how unforgettable England are. Stefan. Don't feel bad about it.
I cannot remember outside of like the 1 or 2 goals. Like I really struggle to cast my mind back to a lot of their games. They're just so unmemorable. But Watkins came on. He stretched the defense. He'd run in behind, and it just gave a different option, and he had a really good chance.
It only worked once, though. Yeah, that was my concern with it. Is it only worked once? But I genuinely think rather than England going more vertical with like runs in behind, they do much better widening the pitch.
Yeah. It's just too narrow. Like that. That's why I think Saka has been probably the best attacking player, because he's holding his width and he's getting his opportunities from that. He's got Kyle Walker who's getting up and supporting him. He's got players to play off as well, but just because he's holding the width in the first place just gets him the ball in better areas. And I'm sure if you go deep diving into the stats, he's probably the creator of most chances and crosses and stuff for England. Yeah. There's just nothing on that left hand side at all.
Well, Andrew is saying Jude trying way too hard on and off the ball. I kind of agree with this. Like, Jude is a big, he's just won a double at Real Madrid. He'll think he's the man, quite rightly. Doesn't have a lot of... actually, he does. He's been playing since he's 17. So he's had like 3 seasons or 4 seasons, and one's been at Real Madrid and 2 have been at Borussia Dortmund. But he's got a bit too much main character energy about him, and I feel that Foden does as well. Who's JB? Jude Bellingham. Working too hard because we have Man City Foden in the team, not the English Foden. Right. Jude Bellingham has been disappointing in the first game. Aside from the first game, it needs to be a false 9, play instead of Kane. Both can't play. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Steph. I've completely butchered your comment here. Bellingham and Kane are both most effective in the same spaces, and they look to attack the same spaces. And I felt in the game that I watched yesterday, Bellingham basically became the box-to-box player, where it's mainly about sort of running and applying final touches and stuff. And I'm not sure that's the best use of him, but I know that he's better at that than Foden is. So Southgate has to adjust. You can't just put your best players on the pitch. You have to put the right blend of players on the pitch that are going to complement each other. And I think that only 2 out of 3 go in between Bellingham, Foden and Kane. For me. Right. Montreal MUFC. How are you, Montreal? I hope the weather's nice out there. It's honestly, it's like a sauna here. To be honest, I've had my own reservations about Bellingham ever since quarterfinals of the Champions League. England got that version of him. Look, he wasn't great in the knockouts of the Champions League. Neither was Erling Haaland the year before. Sometimes when you pay special attention to a player, like Stefan was talking about Mbappe earlier, like Mbappe's got that X factor, and he'll just get mobbed by players, and that leaves more space for other people. So sometimes, even though they don't look like they're affecting the game, just based off their reputation and the potential that they have to damage a team, it gives space for other people. But the problem with England is that there's no one on the left, so it doesn't matter. Foden's coming inside; it's all congested. Oh God, we've got so many comments here. I personally think Jude is the best player in the world. God, that's quite a shout. And then here's another one. Steph is saying that Steph Gate is going to replace Southgate. It's a good one. I like that. Of the Euros, for the first 4, being on all season about our ETH coaching team wasn't good enough. Ecstatic that Ruud van Nistelrooy, 99 come and let Steven. I'm not completely sure what this is about, Reggie. But tomorrow, Mr. B will be back, and we'll be doing an actual Manchester United show. So if you want to talk about McLaren and Ruud and all that kind of stuff, join us tomorrow at 9:00. Jude can do everything. That's true, actually. I see what you mean. He can run, shoot. All right. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Who can do everything that Jude can? All right, I'll bite here. The thing is, Andrew, is that I think that the best players...
I know what you're about to say, buddy.
Do you?
Yeah, I think I know who you're going to say. I think you're going to say Scott McTominay.
No, I'm not. I am absolutely not going to say that. What I'm going to
thought
say,
it was coming.
No. What I'm going to say is that like players like Bale and Ronaldo, who became like legends of football, they actually minimised their game, right? And they basically Arjen Robben as well. They got into positions where they could reliably score goals from certain places, and I think that like it's earlier what I was talking about with Kobe and stuff like that. I think that when you see like players who have it all, you've got to kind of focus them on the best ways for them to win matches, or you're going to get in a Gerrard situation where like he's all right at most things, but never sort of really got put in a position until very late in his career with Torres to sort of do it. So I know what you mean. Like Jude Bellingham, of all the young players in the world, has the highest like floor of any of them, and he can kind of choose what sort of player he wants to be. Andrew is actually agreeing with me for once. Too much to his games. All right, Stefan, just before we go, is there anything that you want to talk about, or like anything from the Euros or from Manchester United that has been on your mind and you'd like to share it with us?
Joe, just even whenever I was listening to you, there's like, if I could just add one thing to it, like when you're talking about the kind of simplifying of the overall game, there was a book I read one time. It was all about like football tactics and stuff, but there was something in it. It was like Mourinho basically talking about how he turned Ronaldo from what he was at United and into what he later become, and he called it something along the lines of just maximizing efficient impact on games, and it's just put yourself in the position where you're going to do the most positive contributions to the team and focus on that. So like for Ronaldo, it was taking him off the wing and saying, let's put you more centrally. Let's just get you into goal scoring opportunities, and you're going to get 5 or 6 shots on target a game. You're going to score 1 or 2 goals a game. And I would agree with that. I think that has to be what Bellingham does. I think he's kind of getting to that point, maybe within the next year or two, that he needs to pick what kind of Jude Bellingham am I going to be? Am I going to be this box crashing midfielder? Am I going to be a number 8? Am I going to do what I'm doing at the minute? Or, he can do anything. Like he's unbelievably gifted. Like he's got fantastic head on his shoulders. He's got the body for it. He's got the build for it. He's got pretty much everything. Like, but he can't do it all. You really can't. And sometimes you got to just be an effective player, like to become one of the best. Robin's famous like for just cutting in his left foot and just scoring. And those times whenever he's at Chelsea and even Real Madrid, where that wasn't all he did, but at Bayern Munich, that's where they got the best out of him, because this is your best attribute. Let's just
same with Bale and Ronaldo. They were much more exciting players in the Premier League, but when they got to the top club, they basically just played. They basically did the same. They just spammed over and over again, like Mortal Kombat 2 with leg sweeps.
And it worked.
This is sort of like. Are you all right to go like maybe 10 minutes longer or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm
fine.
This is my issue with Kobe Mainu at the moment, is that like Mainu is going to be good in every single phase of a football match. Like in every position, he's going to be all right. His only real issue, he's got 2 issues. One is experience, which, every player is going to have that issue because you need to play to learn. The other one is hopefully he's going to develop a bit more, but he's not great at recovering space. He doesn't. He doesn't kind of have that engine to go through. As a midfielder, winning headers is incredibly important. Like it's one of the most, for me, it's one of the most misunderstood things about modern football is you need to be able to win headers in the middle of the park consistently. Mainu is surprisingly good at winning headers. I'm really shocked how good he is. But I think what I really, really want to see for United next season is for us not to do what we did with Rashford, where with Rashford's age and the skills that he has, like remove the mentality, the consistency, all that kind of stuff. Rashford should be playing like Bale or Ronaldo did at Real Madrid. We should be just getting him into a certain position where he hits a shot or is one-on-one with a player and stuff like that. With Kobe Mainu, we've got to pin down what position he's going to play, what role he's going to have, and keep him there. We can't be moving him around the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. It's just even like, if you think back to a lot of other players, like one of the classic ones is always, I guess, maybe to like a larger extent, would be like someone like Phil Neville at United, who never really had a set position and ultimately never nailed down a set position, and he was kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. And
John O'Shea, I felt, was the same.
Yeah. But obviously, Manu's got a much higher ceiling. But we just need to decide what type of midfielder is Kobe Manu going to be. That's probably going to be up to him. It's probably going to be up to the coaches, whoever it's going to be managing United. And it's just about getting him into a position where he can become the absolute best he can be in that position, rather than just focusing on all over game and being effective all over the pitch. It's just been really effective in one area, I guess. So I think getting a good partner is going to be key in the summer. Like, I think we need one or two midfielders.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it? Because here, like, first of all, I want to say, like, Steph Gate has said that's why Prime Matic was so good. Matic was a brilliant player. I loved him so much. He was left-footed, good in the air. But one of my favourite goals United ever scored, it was a COVID goal. COVID was a pretty rough time for sociable people. It was Bruno's volley against Brighton, and Matic played the most delicious 40-yard volleyed pass. Like, he had such quality on the ball, and I'd really liked him to have been used different, because maybe this is a bit controversial, but I think Matic was better than anything I ever saw from Casemiro for Manchester United. The thing that Casemiro had was he was brilliant at attack and set pieces. So he's got like more goals and stuff. But I think Matic was the better player for us. Andrew says, I think he has the ability to be a deep lying playmaker. And this is my concern with Kobe, because Kobe's really good at like his discipline in terms of running channels and defending channels and stuff like that. But I'm not sure it's the best use of him. And I don't want him to, just because he can do something, he gets put in that position instead of where he's best at. And I think the more I see of him, the more I think he's a half space player that should be around people like Rashford, people like Garnacho, like combining with them and just having that ability to play that ball like he did to Kane. It's an easy pass what he did, like that move to Kane, but he's the only player that did it for England over the course of all the games. That one moment, it came from him in that position, and I really want Kobe to be used well, because we've got to, he's generally one of the top young players in the world, and I wonder if if we keep messing about, he might look at Bruno and think Bruno's wasted his career at United. He's got a League Cup and an FA Cup, and he's been like, one of the best players in the Premier League 5 or 6 years. I don't know. Is that too pessimistic?
Maybe slightly pessimistic. I don't know. Maybe we've got to have some hope and faith that things are going to get better with new ownership and everything that's going to come with it. But yeah, I just think we've got to start like attracting the best players, and the way you do that is by winning trophies and by not finishing 8th in the league. I guess is that too simple?
Yeah.
I don't know. That like there will be a lot of players looking at United going like, really, like this is a project club, so you're not going to attract players in their prime. You're not going to attract players kind of coming into their best year. So your options are kind of doing what we've done the last 10 years. Either sign them young or sign them when they're over the hill and they're on the decline. So I don't know. I feel like we just gotta get ourselves going, and hopefully we're in for a good window. Like I think 5 or 6 players is probably going to be the target.
I mean, I look like so we're linked to the Portuguese players, aren't we? Like the centre back and the little hobbit. I wasn't impressed with either of them. I thought the centre back was really poor. And
what
I know
one though, because we're linked to 2.
Who was the left-sided centre back that was it? Andre Silva or the
Andre
one that
Silva,
basically played.
Silva was right centre back, and Ignacio was left centre back.
Ignacio, I think that I wasn't.
I wasn't really impressed with either. Like, I don't think either. I mean, Silva gave 1 goal away and gave a penalty away.
Yeah, like, and the other thing is right. But I'm not a big fan of Paulinho. Right, I think that he's perfectly fine as a defensive midfielder, but he's genuinely League One, like on the ball, like But I saw Neves drop into that sort of deeper role to try and like I don't know what the term is. Let's call him a deep lying playmaker. I just wasn't. I wasn't impressed with him in that position. I was, and then they had like Conceição, who's just like a Paul Dan James.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, there's nothing about João Neves scream this is a guy worth putting £85 million worth of faith into at the minute. Because his release clause is €100 million. It's the same for Silva as well. Both €100 million. I think we're safer just staying
for
clear
that defender. 100 million for a defender.
Yeah, that's a release clause anyway. And they always get it. Like they got so much money out of Liverpool for Nunes as well. Felix as well. Like they get big. They're kind of like a Portuguese Dortmund. Like they just get these big fees for their young players coming through because they kind of fit the system. They're always in the Champions League, so they have that kind of revenue, and they can just slap a big buyout clause on it, and clubs invariably pay it.
Well, we've got an argument going on about Matic and Kante. Different players. Like Kante eventually got moved into a box-to-box role at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like Sarri, I think
Kante played box-to-box with Matic as well initially. I'm not sure they did under Conte. That was their pairing.
Yeah, I mean, I love Kante so much. Like, I hate the fact that he always had incredible games against us. Definitely Old Trafford, but we do so well to get any of those players in. Andrew is saying get Branthwaite, pay the money. I don't know. I mean, I have a very controversial opinion where I prefer Chalobah over Branthwaite because I think that Chalobah's an incredible character. He's captained England at every level except for the senior team, and I think he's one of the best passers from the back that I've seen. And he's 6'4", and he's available for 30 million. So why can't we just go and get both? I don't know.
I would say get both. Like you could definitely put him left and right centre back, and
play defensive midfield as well, like at a pinch. Right. João Neves must have had a bad day today because he's definitely better than that. A United supporting mate to him play at Benfica in Champions League, and he looked really good at CDM. Look, I don't care, but if anyone calls me parochial on this, you cannot have a 5'7" centre back and a 5'7" CDM in the Premier League. It is an absolute no-go. Like the line would have to be, you'd have to have your centre backs like on the edge of their box for that to work. Not a chance. Kante is my favourite ever non-Man United Swansea player. I remember, have you seen that tweet, Andrew, about the guy who was he worked for the Middlesbrough Gazette and he went on holiday and he tweeted Middlesbrough about a player he'd just seen playing like for Kane in like the League 3 or something. And it was Kante. And they said, yeah, we'll have a look. And then 2 seasons later, he was winning the league at Leicester. All right. I think we're going to stop it there because we've almost done an hour, but it's always a delight to talk to Stefan, and it's always lovely to speak to you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with a more Man United show. And then on Saturday, I've basically sort of booked myself in to do the Saturday show. You can all like anyone can come on, like so Andrew, Steph, Montreal. If any of you just want to pop on for a couple of minutes and tell us what you're thinking, like just put it in chat and I'll send you the link and you can come on. But anyway, please subscribe to Stefan and brush your teeth, drink water, have a good night's sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. So it's good night from me and Stefan. Do you want to plug your channel and all that?
Well, I know pretty much everybody here, but yeah, like just as the name says, United Philosophy. I'm on most nights of the week, and I'm always on before the agenda, so you've no excuse not to watch both. So
yeah, it's always an annoying time because I'm normally preparing shows when you're on, so I get to miss out.
I know.
On Lucky Singh and his mates storming Old Trafford. But anyway, all right. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.